Reading passage 3, you should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 40, which are based on reading passage 3 below. Chelsea Rockman, an ecologist at the University of California, Davis has been trying to answer a dismal question: is everything terrible, or are things just very, very bad? Rockman is a member of the National Center of Ecological Analysis and Synthesis Marine Debris Working Group, a collection of scientists who study, among other things, the growing problem of marine debris, also known as ocean trash. Plenty of studies have sounded alarm bells about the state of marine debris. In a recent paper published in the journal Ecology, Rockman and her colleagues set out to determine how many of those perceived risks are real. Often, Rockman says, scientists will end a paper by speculating about the broader impacts of what they found. For example, a study could show that certain seabirds eat plastic bags and go on to warn that whole bird populations are at risk of dying out. But the truth was that nobody had yet tested those perceived threats. Rockman says there wasn't a lot of information. Rockman and her colleagues examined more than 100 papers on the impacts of marine debris that were published through 2013. Within each paper, they asked what threats scientists had studied, 366 perceived threats in all, and what they'd actually found. In 83% of cases, the perceived dangers of ocean trash were proven true. In the remaining cases, the working group found the studies had weaknesses in the design and content, which affected the validity of their conclusions. They lacked a control group, for example, or used faulty statistics. Strikingly, Rockman says only one well-designed study failed to find the effect it was looking for: an investigation of mussels ingesting microscopic plastic bits. The plastic moved from the mussels' stomachs to their bloodstreams, scientists found, and stayed there for weeks, but didn't seem to stress out the shellfish. While mussels may be fine eating trash, though the analysis also gave a clearer picture of the many ways that ocean debris is bothersome. Within these studies, they looked at most of the proven threats came from plastic debris rather than other materials like metal or wood. Most of the dangers also involved large species of debris, animals getting entangled in trash, for example, or eating it and severely injuring themselves. But a lot of ocean debris is microplastic, or pieces smaller than 5 millimeters. They may be ingredients used in cosmetics and toiletries, fibers shed by synthetic clothing in the wash, or eroded remnants of larger debris. Compared to the number of studies investigating larger scale debris, Rockman's group found little research on the effects of these tiny bits. There are a lot of open questions still for microplastic, Rockman says. Though she notes that more papers on the subject have been published since 2013, the cut-off point for the group's analysis. There are also, she adds, a lot of open questions about the ways that ocean debris can lead to sea creature death. Many studies have looked at how plastic affects an individual animal or that animals' tissues or cells rather than whole populations. And in the lab, scientists often use higher concentrations of plastic than what's really in the ocean. None of that tells us how many birds or fish or sea turtles could die from plastic pollution, or how deaths in one species could affect that animal's predators or the rest of the ecosystem. We need to be asking more ecologically relevant questions, Rockman says. Usually, scientists don't know exactly how disasters such as tanker accidentally spilling its whole cargo of oil and polluting huge areas of the ocean will affect the environment until after they've happened. We don't ask the right questions early enough, she says. But if ecologists can understand how the slow moving effect of ocean trash is damaging ecosystems, they might be able to prevent things from getting worse. Asking the right questions can help policymakers and the public figure out where to focus their attention. The problems that look or sound most dramatic may not be the best places to start. For example, the name of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a collection of marine debris in the northern Pacific Ocean, might conjure up a vast floating trash island. In reality, though, much of the debris is tiny or below the surface. A person could sail through the area without seeing any trash at all. A Dutch group called the Ocean Cleanup is currently working on plans to put mechanical devices in the Pacific garbage patch and similar areas to suck up plastic. But a recent paper used simulations to show that strategically positioning the cleanup devices closer to shore would more effectively reduce pollution over the long term. I think cleaning up some of these misperceptions is really important, Rockman says. Among scientists as well as in the media, she says a lot of the images about strandings and entanglement and all of that cause the perception that plastic debris is killing everything in the ocean. Interrogating the existing scientific literature can help ecologists figure out which problems really need addressing and which ones they'd be better off, like the mussels, absorbing and ignoring. Questions 27 to 33. Do the following statements agree with the information given in the reading passage 3? In boxes 27 to 33, on your answer sheet write 2 if the statement agrees with the information, false if the statement contradicts the information, not given if there is no information on this. Rockman and her colleagues were the first people to research the problem of marine debris. False. The creatures most in danger from ocean trash are certain seabirds. Not given. The studies Rockman has reviewed have already proved that populations of some birds will soon become extinct. False. Rockman analyzed papers on the different kinds of danger caused by ocean trash. True. Most of the research analyzed by Rockman and her colleagues was badly designed. False. One study examined by Rockman was expecting to find that mussels were harmed by eating plastic. 2. Some mussels choose to eat plastic in preference to their natural diet. Not given. Questions 34 to 39. Complete the notes below. Choose one word only from the passage for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 34 to 39 on your answer sheet. Findings related to marine debris. Studies of marine debris found the biggest threats were plastic, not metal or wood. Bits of debris that were large, harmful to animals. There was little research into microplastic, for example, from synthetic fibers. Drawbacks of the studies examined. Most of them focused on individual animals, not entire populations. The concentration of plastic used in the lab did not always reflect those in the ocean. There was insufficient information on numbers of animals which could be affected, the impact of reduction in numbers on the predators of that species, the impact on the ecosystem. Rockman says more information is needed on the possible impact of future disasters, for example, involving oil. Question 40. Choose the correct letter A, B, C, or D. Write the correct letter in boxes 40 or on your answer sheet. What would be the best title for the passage? Assessing the threat of marine debris.